Yo, what's up? Your favorite tourist is back after a year-long break. Small update. I've been working for Maxroll for the past like 7 months on Diablo guides. I have still been playing a shit ton of BO2. It's just endgame was pretty mid, but not stand spamming endgame. But hopefully with temples, I will be able to Omega Juice temples and have fun. So I'm probably locking myself in Vault temples for the next 2 months. That is the plan anyway. So yeah, all my builds will be macro links. You can also open the path of building down here, which you probably should do for this. This is not a full build guide, and there's a bunch of labels and stuff in POB. Yeah, I can't really plan around the druid section of the starting tree. The gear for this POB is way higher than level 76, but I wanted to leave open a lot of skill points so that I can take stuff in the druid section. So yeah, we get pretty tanky. Hopefully I'll be able to take more armor and ES nodes here. I would like to have more defense than I already have. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Can't really plan that. There's stuff like this where it says Ellie Mana Leech. I just have that set as Life Leech 1 because the new Elemental Managed Leech lineage support is not in Path of Building. And this has Volcanic Pusher just so that I could simulate plus levels. It's going to level 35. Technically, you can go to level 40 with a Fire Flower, but then you can't really play ES because you'll self-hit and it'll fuck your ES recharge. So yeah, what are we playing? We are playing Walking Calamity. So, Schizo post time. Hold on. So what is Walking Calamity? Actually, here, I will just show you the skill first. Let's go back. I have a video pulled up. Hang on. Okay, so this is Walking Calamity.
Calamity. This skill summons a storm of fire around you for some time, while generating even more rage to power your other abilities. A true bear apocalypse.
Okay, so that's Walking Calamity. So that is the build. We're playing that shit with the meteors falling. So, okay, Schizo post time. Now back to the Schizo post. So Walking Calamity basically, it's a glory skill, but you generate glory by gaining rage while at max rage. It's right here. And then it gives you a 10-second buff, and small meteors fall every 0.05 seconds, so it's 20 small meteors a second. And then you get one large meteor every second, basically. And the base duration is 10 seconds, and you get a fire damage buff. Okay. So how are we generating rage? Well, we're doing it through Warcries. So there's a new Warcry called Ferocious Roar. This actually generates rage by default. We might end up using just the default version of this. I'll talk about that in a second, why. But then you also can get Raging Cry support, which gives us more rage. So we just basically spam Warcry and we get rage. We're a Warbringer, so our Warcries have no cooldown. So we can just spam Warcry all day to get rage. So it's basically spam Warcry, and then cast Walking Calamity, and repeat. That's the whole build. Now, there's another reason we're playing Warbringer other than ignore Warcry cooldowns, which is Herald chaining. Now, you're probably saying, but I thought they removed all Herald chaining except for the what is it? Herald of Blood plus Bursting Plague, I think, is the other way that people are Herald chaining still, which I also can't believe they didn't remove. So we are doing it with Herald of Ice Armor Explosion. So I actually have this pulled up. Hold on. I have a test character. This character is completely scuffed. The gear is scuffed. So eventually you will have enough damage that you don't need Pulskirin. But in the early game, you should use Pulskirin because it just makes it super consistent and easy. You don't need that much damage. You don't have to actually freeze stuff with Armor Explosion. I'm just going to show you the tech real quick so that you can understand how crazy it is and that it works. I think there's thorns in some of my gear. I want a big pack. Hold on. It's not really a big pack. But as you can see, the Herald tech does in fact work, which I will go into in a second exactly. Okay, there we go. So, basically, Herald Let me kill this guy. And this guy. And this one. Fuck. Okay. So. Oh, I could have done this. I'm dumb. So basically, Herald Device goes off when you kill something that's frozen, which we are cold converting a Walking Calamity with Blueflame. This also cold converts Armor Explosion. So basically the idea is one of those little meteors hits a white mob, and then the whole screen fucking explodes. And we just walk through the map, constantly triggering Herald Device explosions and killing everything. That's the idea. So how does this work? So a meteor hits something, it gets frozen and dies. Herald Device goes off. Okay. We're a Warbringer. So we have all damage from hits breaks armor. Okay. So our Herald Device breaks armor. An armor explosion happens. I mean, and our meteors also break armor. So our armor explosion goes off. This is a non-herald hit, so it can trigger Herald Device because shattering enemy with a non-herald attack. So armor explosion goes off. It's fully converted to cold damage, and then eventually you get enough damage that armor explosion just freezes stuff. So then it dies frozen, which triggers another Herald Device. So we use Armor Demolisher, Cold Attunement, Magnified Area. This is losing the less area damage line next patch, so it'll be even better. And then there's also Tools Stillness, which I don't have here, which is getting buffed next patch, which I believe is 40% of cold damage as extra chaos damage, and chaos damage applies to freeze, which is what you would probably use here. That, or you just use like freeze buildup support. So that is the Herald chaining tech, basically. So we will have insane clear. Hold on. Okay, let me go back. This gets a post. Okay, so we do all this stuff. They also made it so that armor break applies to elemental damage on Warbringer. It's not here, but it's on this node, imploding impacts. And then we also can break armor below 0. So this is really strong for us because we're playing cold fire. So Walking Calamity, so first off, it's fucking tagged as melee for some reason. God knows why. So we get the skill off melee damage, and attack damage. It's not like a projectile or anything for some reason. But because it's tagged melee, we should be able to empower it with Infernal Cry. So it's highly likely that our Ferocious Roar is just going to be triggering Infernal Cry instead. This will give us less rage than if we were just using Ferocious Roar, because Ferocious Roar has built-in rage generation. So we might have to spam more Infernal Cries before we cast Walking Cataclysm again every time it ends the duration. But that's probably fine. We'll see how this goes. I mean, I can't test anything. We'll find out. There's also this in the item filter information, which Exposing Cry. I don't know if this is a skill gem or a support gem. I'm hoping it's a support gem, and that I can basically make my Infernal Cry also apply exposure. That would be very nice. Exposure is 20% minus to all elemental resistances. Next, Pounce. This is a werewolf skill. It applies a mark. The default mark basically makes the enemy take increased damage for every ally of yours. So it's basically if it's you plus 9 minions, the enemy takes, I can't remember the number. I think it's 50% increased. It might be 30% increased damage. They take a lot of increased damage. It's a very good mark, but we won't have the minions to support it. Thankfully, this is also a meta gem. You can see right here that you can socket a mark into. So we're gonna use Freezing Mark because it's getting changed. So basically, when you freeze the target, you get a buff that gives you extra cold damage for some amount of time. Also, Pounce is a movement skill that leaps and dashes. So we can give it Shocking Leap, and then just give it a bunch of critical strike support gems. And if it crits, it'll leave shock ground. So we don't even have to skill Lighten to get shock. We just get shock for free by we get all of our rage, basically. We go to full rage, we get all of our glory for Cataclysm, and then we cast Pounce, apply shock to ground, and then cast Cataclysm and stay in there until it dies. Small issue it might feel fucking terrible trying to kill bosses with just Walking Cataclysm. Thankfully, we have 3 open skill gems. So if we have to weapon swap and figure something else out for single target, that's what we'll do. But that is the plan. Now, how are we leveling? I don't fucking know, because I can't test anything. We are probably I'm probably just leveling with default slams. So Ziggy D posted a video, thank God, of him playing a bunch of druid at GGG offices, and druid looks very strong for leveling. It's pretty brain dead. So the basic attack applies rage. You get rage on hit. I think it's 5 rage on hit. So, and then the slam that he'll do in a sec, that is like an ungodly amount of damage. It's empowered by your rage. So when he slams, you lose rage. He just lost right there. So this is a ton of damage. So right now, I believe he has a +2 talisman, like +2 melee skills talisman. So he has like pretty good damage. You might have a little less damage than this when you're here. But in general, this build looks very strong for leveling. You will be vibing out playing bear. There's also, where's the part where he kills the witch? Hold on. He like melts the witch. Okay, here we go.
I'll take the opportunity before we test some wolf form here to comment on the overall feeling of shapeshifting, and it is thankfully seamless. GGG have done a really good job here of leveraging the weapon swap system, especially after they kind of changed it to not have delays and things like that.
Yeah, okay, you don't have to cast Volcano. Literally just melee and then slam, and everything's gonna fucking explode. That's the plan. So yeah, I will be posting updates pretty much all week, and hopefully everyone has a blast on 0.4 launch. Peace.